So today on Dad's driving, drinking coffee, and showing my nose hairs. What was your topic? Well, you gotta say it. Because we're on video. Just say it. Don't be a teenager. Huh? I can't hear you. You're mumbling because you're a teenager. What? No, I didn't. That's why I said what. Because you're mumbling again. What? Could you bring up your sound effects? I can barely hear you. It's a passive-aggressive sign of disrespect when you don't speak clearly. Huh? No, if you did, I wouldn't be saying huh and speak clearly. So I think you said sound effects. So when I was 6th grade, 7th grade, 6th grade. So first of all, we're at a thrift store, because that's the way I grew up. So I passed on that wisdom to you. Yeah, see, there's a dotted line there, doofus. That means you're dumb and there's a dotted line. Apparently this guy doesn't know how to do the speed limit. We would have made it, but we had two dummies. Oh, am I on tape? Anyway, sound effects. So we were at a thrift store. I have to do some editing on this one again. We were at a thrift store, and they had this big old stereo. It had these speakers in there that were like, I don't know, what is that, 20 inch, 25 inch? They were huge. And you can tell they're really good old ones because they got big old killer magnets in the back. So this one had, and it was a pretty good buy because everything on it worked. And I'd been learning about electronics and electricity and circuits. So I was tinkering with electrical stuff. And so I took apart, back in those days, you had what was called a landline. I know this is like ancient history, but you actually had a phone that was screwed to the wall, and you could pick up the headset that was connected to the thing on the wall, and it had this cord that was forever getting tangled, and it was like a big wet noodle spiral thing, and it had like elasticity to it, where it would ring, and so you'd put it on, and then you'd have to buy a 20-foot one because it'd only give you 1 or 2 feet when you bought it from the store. Anyway, and then you hung it up and it would sit there on the wall, and you'd wait for it to ring, and then you'd try to run from wherever I'm digressing. So, most of y'all don't know what those things are. So anyway, I took the phone apart. And it was like old, it wasn't a solid state, it had some components you could get into, a few, some of it was maybe solid state, but it was still old school, electromagnets and push button switches, and, you actually had to push these buttons. Each number had its own button you pushed. So I wired it to my stereo. And there was this real popular movie, the Steven Spielberg movie called Close Encounters. You might have heard of that one. But it had the thing that the space aliens communicated with weird music. It would go doo 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 doo. So I wired, and the phone, whenever you pushed a button, would make a noise. I guess cell phones kind of do that, but it would make this distinctive noise for each set of buttons. So I wired up to my stereo, and the entire 10-block area could hear me going, doo, 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 because I blasted it out of my stereo. You'd only get about 4 tones, maybe, if you were lucky, out of a phone. Three-ish, 4, well, definitely 3. You could maybe you push 2 buttons and get 2 tones at once. Yeah. The only trouble was, I got a little bit of trouble, because I couldn't figure out how to put the phone back together. Fortunately, we had a spare, or got a spare or something. I don't remember that I necessarily ever had to pay for it. Probably did. I got yelled at. Bob! That was my dad. He was always saying, Bob! So I'd say, Leroy! No, I didn't do that. That was his middle name. I wouldn't dare do that. One, I knew what respect and disrespect was and is, unlike you little imps. And I'd probably get a paddling or a grounding or there would be consequences. Ooh, I almost went for it. This guy's going butt ugly slow. Ooh, I got a window. Come on, bus. Yes. Don't go. You see how the back end flips out, so don't get too close to a turning bus, because that back end will come out and bite you.
I need to go to the front seat.
Why?
Don't leave right after, because he smashed.
Because you're uncomfortable. Anyway, so that was a sound effect memory. And now I could make millions of dollars if I ever applied my electronic training by inventing something.
You should try that.
Did you know the guy that made Tickle Me Elmo? They suspected him of being the Unabomber because of all the electronic components he kept mailing to his house.
That's weird.
But he was innocent. He's also a millionaire from inventing the stupidest thing on the planet, Tickle Me Elmo.